Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I hope you guys can hear me. Let's start the session. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقه قولي رب زدني علما رب زدني علما رب زدني علما اللهم فقهنا في الدين اللهم فقهنا في الدين اللهم فقهنا في الدين. Okay, so in our last class, we discussed about the tafsir in the translation of Surah Al-Kawthar, right? But that session couldn't be recorded, so the recordings were not shared in the group. But I will try to share the reading material so that the people who missed that can use the reading material to get the idea about the tafsir. Inshallah, today we will be talking about Surah Al-Ma'un. Let's start with the meaning or the name of the surah, that is Al-Ma'un. It starts from the ayat أَرَأَيْتَ الَّذِي يُكَذِّبُ بِالدِّينِ, right? But the name for the surah is Al-Ma'un. It has been taken from the very last verse of the surah. Okay? So the word Al-Ma'un basically refers to something that is called as a little kindness, or the little kindness. Why? Because in this surah we will came to know that the reason why this surah was revealed, talking about the time, but what was happening in the life of Holy Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. What happened was basically the uncle of Holy Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He was not kind enough to the orphans that he had. Okay, so he was very rude and brutal towards the orphan kids that he was having, and also along with those, he was very brutal towards the masakin, those the people who are like not able to fulfill their necessities, and they don't really share their problems with other people, right? So they are living their life with this within the critical situation, struggling with the necessities of the life, um but they don't really show the problems that they have in this life, right? So he was very brutal towards the masakin and the orphans that he had around him. So uh, one of the times when he was not being kind enough to those, at that very time, this ayah was revealed to Holy Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And not only this surah is dealing about the behavior of that very uncle, or like the message for all of us to be very kind towards the people who are needy in this dunya, who are struggling with their lives, the orphans, because they are kids and they don't have their parents with them, right? Or the people who are like struggling with their necessities, the masakins specifically. Along with that, some part of the surah is going to be dealing with the munafiqun. So from these 2 points, we came to know that half of the surah has been revealed in the Mecca, when the like the parts, the ayahs that state for the showing kindness towards the orphans and the masakin. This part was revealed before the hijrah, before the migration in the Mecca. And the half part of the surah that was talking about the munafiqin, that is going to be, we will see that how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala referred to the munafiqin, and he clearly explains that the worships that you're trying to do in front of the people are not going to be counted. So the behavior of munafiqin that has been shown in the last ayahs of the surah, these ayahs were basically revealed to the Holy Prophet ﷺ after the Hijrah. Why? Because in the early stages of the Islam, there were not the munafiqins existing. There were only the true believers, and very few of them in the Mecca. But when Islam spread, and some people who fear their life and their security, they entered the Islam, or who wanted to do what do we say? Um, uh, who wanted to spy the things that Holy Prophet ﷺ was doing, those people entered Islam just in front of the Muslims. So this thing happened right after the Hijrah, when Islam was in power and people were entering the Islam just because of the fear in the society. Okay. So half part of the surah has been revealed in the Mecca and half part of the surah has been revealed in the Medina, that is referring to the Munafiqun. So we came to know from this that the surah is not completely revealed at one moment. It was revealed two times. Firstly in the Mecca and then half part of it in the Medina. And the name of the surah Al-Ma'un basically refers to showing the Ma'un basically means to show the little kindness, and this name refers to the very first ayahs of the incidents that have been discussed in the very first ayahs. Okay. So आज हमने सूरह माऊन को इंशाल्लाह पढ़ना है और हमने उसमें देखना है कि अल्लाह ताला ने हमें कौन से मैसेजेस दिए हैं। जो नाम है सूरत का अल माऊन, ये बेसिकली आयत की आखिरी वर्स से लिया गया है। और अगर हम ना अल माऊन का जो लिटरल मीनिंग है तो वो उसका उसका जो लिटरल मीनिंग है उसको देखें तो उसका मतलब है कि आप जो है वो नरमी, थोड़ी बहुत नरमी का इज़हार, ठीक है? माऊन को अरबिक जो वर्ड है माऊन, इसको अगर हम उर्दू में देखें तो इसका मतलब है कि नरमी का इज़हार करना, ठीक है? और ये वर्ड जो है वो कहाँ से लिया गया है? इस सूरत की आखिरी आयत से लिया गया है। ये किस लिए इसका जो नेम जो रखा गया है वो बेसिकली काइंडनेस जो है वो किसकी तरफ इशारा है? टुवर्ड्स द ऑर्फन्स और मसाकीन की तरफ, यतीम बच्चों की तरफ। बच्चों की बात क्यों कर रही हूँ? क्योंकि यतीम वही होता है जो कि 18 ईयर्स से कम होता है। द मोमेंट यू क्रॉस ये 18 ईयर्स of your age, you're no more orphan. It doesn't matter if you have your parents with you or not. You are not orphan at that time, because now you have reached bulugha. You are capable of fulfilling your own needs. Okay. So यतीम कौन होते हैं? जो 18 साल से कम के बच्चे होते हैं, ठीक है? सो इस सूरत में अल्लाह ताला जो है वो रेफर कर रहे हैं कि मुनाफिकीन की एक खसलत की तरफ जो है वो रेफर कर रहे हैं कि मुनाफिकीन कौन लोग होते हैं? वो होते हैं जो कि यतीमों और मसाकीन के साथ एक अच्छा बिहेवियर नहीं रखते। और यहाँ पर ये जो आयात ज़िक्र हुई हैं यहाँ पर कि अराइतल्लज़ी युकज़्ज़िबु बिद्दीन फ़ज़ालिकल्लज़ी यदुउल यतीम वला यहुज़्ज़ु अला तुआमिल मिस्कीन। जो सेकंड और थर्ड आयत है ये जब रिवील हुई थी तब क्या चल रहा था होली प्रॉफिट सल्लल्लाहु अलैहि वसल्लम की लाइफ में? कि उनके एक चचा थे जो कि जिनकी कफ़ालत में कुछ मसाकीन थे। सॉरी, मसाकीन नहीं, यतीम लोग थे। अब यतीम बच्चे थे और वो क्या करते थे कि वो उनके साथ बहुत ही बुरे तरीके से जो है वो उनके साथ सलूक करते थे और उनकी जो जायदादें, यतीम बच्चों की जो जायदादें उनके पास थी, वो उनके साथ उनको उसमें से हक भी नहीं देते थे। उनकी जो जायदाद है वो उनके ऊपर जो है वो सर्फ भी नहीं करते थे, लगाते भी नहीं थे, राइट? मतलब कि अगर उनकी कफ़ालत कर रहे हैं तो वो भी बहुत बुरे तरीके से करते थे, बहुत सख्ती के साथ उन्हें खाने-पीने में भी जो है बहुत तंग करते थे। और बेशक उनका जो माल उनके जो वालिदैन छोड़ कर गए थे, वो उनके पास था, लेकिन वो उसको उन बच्चों के लिए इस्तेमाल नहीं करते थे, बल्कि उसमें से अपना हक उसमें उसको अपने लिए इस्तेमाल कर लेते थे। तो उस वक़्त अल्लाह ताला ने ये कुरान की ये आयात नाज़िल की, पहली 3 आयात जो हैं वो नाज़िल की, सिर्फ़ इसलिए ताकि इस मसले को जो सोसाइटी में चल रहा था उसको अल्लाह ताला जो है वो एड्रेस कर सकें, उसके ऊपर अहकाम जो हैं वो जारी कर सकें कि मुनाफिकीन या फिर जो मुनाफिकीन होते हैं वो उनकी खसलतों में से जो ख़ास खसलतें हैं वो क्या होती हैं? एक कि वो मसाकीन लोगों के साथ जो है वो अच्छा सलूक नहीं करते और वो जो यतीम बच्चे हैं उनके साथ भी जो है अच्छा सलूक नहीं करते और उनका हक उनको अदा नहीं करते। अब मसाकीन की बात यहाँ पर हो रही है तो हम देख लेते हैं कि मस्कीन कौन-सा शख़्स होता है? वो शख़्स जो कि अपनी ज़िंदगी की ज़रूरियात के साथ जो है वो बहुत स्ट्रगल कर रहा होता है, वो अपनी ज़िंदगी की ज़रूरियात खुद से पूरी नहीं कर पा रहा होता। और वो शख़्स जो है वो ओके, सो वो शख़्स जो है अपनी ये परेशानी किसी के साथ शेयर भी नहीं करता। ठीक है? वो बंदा अपनी परेशानी किसी के साथ शेयर भी नहीं करता, किसी से मदद माँगता भी नहीं है और खुद से वो स्ट्रगल भी कर रहा होता है, बहुत ज़्यादा तंगी की ज़िंदगी बसर कर रहा होता है। सो अगर हमारी नज़र हमारे जो है सर्कल में, हमारे अराउंड, हमारे नेबर्स में या रिश्तेदारों में कोई ऐसे लोग हैं, तो हमें इस सूरत से क्या हुक्म मिलता है कि हम उनके साथ अच्छा सलूक करें और उनके ऊपर नज़र रखें और उनकी हेल्प कर सकें। ठीक है? इंशाल्लाह अभी हम आगे देखेंगे किस तरीके से अल्लाह ताला मुखातिब होकर कितनी सख्त आयात जो हैं वो नाज़िल की हैं उन्होंने और कितने सख्ती से बयान किए हैं मसाकीन और यतीमों के बारे में जो अहकाम नाज़िल किए हैं। सो ये बैकग्राउंड हो गया कि ये आयत नाजिल कब हुई थी। एक और बात यहाँ पे सूरत में जो नेक्स्ट आगे आयत आएंगी वो डील करी होंगी मुनाफिकीन के रवैये से, कि वो जो है अपनी जो नमाजें जो वो अदा करते हैं ना, उसमें खुशू और खुशू होता है, वो सिर्फ टक्कर मार रहे होते हैं, सजदे नहीं कर रहे होते, वो सिर्फ टक्करें मार रहे होते हैं। कौवे की मिसाल दी है अल्लाह ताला ने। तो ये जो आयत है, इनको जब हम पढ़ते हैं और जब यहाँ पे स्पेसिफिकली अल्लाह ताला ने मुनाफिकीन की टर्म यूज़ की, तो वहाँ पर इस इन इन आयत से, जो लास्ट की 3 आयत हैं, इनसे हमें पता चलता है कि ये सूरत जो है वो इसका ये पार्ट जो है ये मक्का में नहीं बल्कि मदीना में नाजिल हुआ। क्यों? क्योंकि इब्ने अब्बास से रवायत है कि जो मक्का में जो है वो इस्लाम इस वक़्त तक इतना नहीं फैला हुआ था कि जो है उसमें ऐसे लोग शामिल हो जाते कि जो इस्लाम की चुगली करने के लिए या यहाँ से वहाँ खबर फैलाने के लिए झूठा अपने इस्लाम का दावा करते हैं। मक्का में सिर्फ़ और सिर्फ़ चंद कुछ लोग थे जिन्होंने अल्लाह ताला पर ईमान लाया था, नबी सल्लल्लाहु अलैहि वसल्लम पर ईमान लाया था। लेकिन जो बाकी के लोग थे वो उन्होंने सरीह कुफ़र किया हुआ था। कोई भी ऐसा नहीं था कि जो झूठे इस्लाम के दावे कर रहा था। ये मुनाफ़िकीन किस वक़्त पैदा हुए थे? जबकि मदीना में जो है मुसलमान चले गए थे और इस्लाम पावर में था। उस वक़्त मुनाफ़िकीन ने जो है यानी कि कुछ मुशरिकीन ने मुसलमानों के सामने जो है इस्लाम का दावा किया था कि हम मुसलमान हैं, और वो उनकी मजलिसों में बैठते थे, या तो इस खौफ से कि उनको जो है कत्ल कर लिया जाएगा या उनके साथ अच्छा सलूक रवा नहीं रखा जाएगा, इस खौफ से उन्होंने ईमान लाया था। वो भी सिर्फ़ ज़ाहिरी तौर पर, या इस गर्ज़ से उन्होंने ईमान लाया था कि वो मुसलमानों की बातें जो हैं वो कुफ़ार तक पहुँचा सकें, उनकी मजलिसों में बैठ के वहाँ से उनकी खुफ़िया बातें पता कर सकें। इसलिए उन्होंने ईमान लाया हुआ था लोगों के सामने, ठीक है? तो वो जो मुनाफ़िकीन का जो गिरोह बना था, ऐसे लोगों ने जो ईमान लाया था वो मदीना में लाया था। इससे हमें पता चलता है कि ये सूरत एक बार में नाज़िल नहीं हुई, बल्कि ये टुकड़ों में नाज़िल हुई है। इसकी कुछ आयत पहले नाज़िल हुई जब नबी सल्लल्लाहु अलैहि वसल्लम मक्का में थे, और कुछ आयत बाद में नाज़िल हुई जबकि नबी सल्लल्लाहु अलैहि वसल्लम हिजरत करके मदीना आ गए। ठीक हो गया? इससे हमें पता चल गया कि ये सूरत मक्की भी कहलाती है और मदनी भी कहलाती है। और इसका जो नाम है उसको भी हमने देख लिया कि जो इसका नाम है वो माऊन है। माऊन का मतलब ये है कि थोड़ा बहुत नरमी का इज़हार करना। और वो किस लिए है? वो किस टॉपिक को कवर करता है? जो कि आयत यतीमों और मसाकीन से रिलेटेड है। ओके? Now let's talk about why was this surah revealed, or what was happening exactly. So according to those who believe this is a Makkan chapter, uh, like the scholars who say that this surah was revealed in Makkah, they refer to the narrations that are taken from Al-As bin Wali and Al-Shami and some other ashabs as well. But others claim it was sent about Abu Sufyan. Okay, so some of the scholars say that it is a Meccan surah. It was revealed in Mecca. Okay, but others believe that it is a Madani surah because it was referring to the Munafiqun, right? But those who say that it is a Meccan surah, they do mention the incident that the Abu Sufyan, the uncle of Holy Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, before he converted to Islam, what he used to do, he used to repel the poor, and he used to be very harsh towards the masakin. Poors are the masakins, okay? Others believe that it was delivered in the retaliation for Abu Jahl abuse of orphan. Abu Jahl was having some orphans in his what do we say? Ra'aya, like under his control. So he used to abuse those orphans. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala revealed these surahs, these ayahs, to give the general message to all of us that we should be very kind towards the orphans and the masakin. Okay, if we follow the Ibn Abbas logic and assume that this chapter was transmitted to both Makkah and Medina, it's likely that the first half of this chapter is about one, some, or all of the persons listed above, like the Abu Sufyan and Abu Jahl, right? While the second half is called as the second half is revealed in the Medina because it is dealing with the hypocrites or the munafiqeen. Okay, as a result, the examples in this chapter are of personality qualities that Muslims should avoid. Okay, yeah. So this is the point for us, that in this surah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has revealed the things that a Muslim should avoid. That we should avoid being harsh towards the yatim, the orphans. We should avoid being harsh towards the masakin, those who are poor. We should avoid being what do we say? unfocused in our salahs, and we should avoid being in the gathering of the people who are hypocrites, right? So there are ahkams that have been revealed to us in this surah. यहाँ पर जब हम इस सूरत की बारे में बात करते हैं कि ये सूरत जो है वो रिवील कब हुई थी, जब नाजिल कब हुई थी, तो इसको जैसे मैंने आपको भी थोड़ी देर पहले एक्सप्लेन किया कि कुछ लोगों के नज़दीक ये मक्की सूरह है और कुछ लोगों के नज़दीक ये मदनी सूरह है। जो लोग ये कहते हैं कि ये मक्का में नाजिल हुई थी, वो इस बात को दलालत बनाते हैं कि जब अबू सुफियान जो है वो इस्लाम लाने से पहले क्या करते थे, वो लोग जो मसाकीन है उनके साथ जो है ना वो बहुत बुरा सलूक करते थे, उनके साथ जो है ताल्लुक ही कायम नहीं रखते थे, बल्कि उनको जो है वो गलत तरीके से जो है उनके साथ पेश आते थे और उन्हें अपने से दूर कर देते थे। और इसी तरीके से अबू जहल के बारे में है कि अबू जहल की कफालत में जो यतीम बच्चे थे, वो उनके साथ जो है वो बहुत ही बुरा सलूक करता था, यानी कि उनको मार पीट करता था, राइट? सो इन दोनों नरेशंस को, इन दोनों इंसिडेंट्स को जो है वो बेस बनाकर कुछ उलमा कहते हैं कि ये मक्की सूरह है। बट इब्ने अब्बास की रवायत से हमें पता चलता है कि ये इसकी कुछ आयत मक्का में भी नाजिल हुई हैं और कुछ मदीना में भी नाजिल हुई हैं। और वो जब कहते हैं कि ये मक्का में नाजिल हुई है तो वो इन चीज़ों को जो है वो अपनी बेस बनाते हैं, और जब वो कहते हैं कि ये मदीना में नाजिल हुई है तो वो कहते हैं कि जो आयत मदीना में नाजिल हुई है वो बेसिकली जो है मुनाफिकीन को मुखातिब करती हैं और मुनाफिकीन के रवैये को जो है वो बताती हैं। सो इसका जो पार्ट जो है अबू सुफियान और अबू जहल के रवैये से डील करता है, उसके अकॉर्डिंग ये वाली आयात मक्का में नाजिल हुई है, इसलिए ये एक ही फॉर्म, एक ही दफा में नाजिल नहीं हुई। अब इब्ने अब्बास की रवायत से हमें पता चलता है कि एक ही दफा में नाजिल नहीं हुई, बल्कि इसके जो ग्रुप ऑफ आयास पहले नाजिल हुआ मक्का में, वो बेसिकली अबू सुफियान और अबू जहल के रवैये के बारे में जो पहली 2-3 आयत हैं वो हैं। और जो मदीना में नाजिल हुई वो उसकी इसी सूरत की जो आगे की आयात है जो कि मुनाफिकीन के रवैये के से रिलेटेड है, वो जो है वो मदीना में नाजिल हुई, वो हिजरत के बाद नाजिल हुई। ओके, और इसके बाद हमारे लिए इस सूरत में क्या मैसेज है? इस सूरत में अल्लाह ताला ने वो तमाम चीज़ें एक्सप्लेन कर दी कि जिससे एक मुसलमान को जो है वो अवॉइड करना चाहिए, जिन जिन चीज़ों का ख्याल रखना चाहिए कि क्या वो उसकी प्रैक्टिस में तो नहीं आ गई। ठीक है? वो क्या-क्या चीज़ें हैं कि यतीमों के साथ जो है वो अच्छा सलूक करना है, बुरा सलूक नहीं करना। अल्लाह ताला ने डराया है इस आयत में। इसी तरीके से मसाकीन के साथ जो है वो आपका सलूक कैसा है, अल्लाह ताला ने इससे भी डराया है। फिर अल्लाह ताला ने अपनी नमाज़ों के बारे में भी कहा है कि क्या आप अपनी नमाज़ों को जो है वो एनालाइज़ करें, उनका एहतिसाब करें, उनके ऊपर जो है दोबारा से नज़र दौड़ाएँ कि आपकी क्या नमाज़ें इस तरीके की तो नहीं है कि आप सिर्फ़ टकरे मार रहे हैं और आपको उस नमाज़ से कुछ हासिल नहीं हो रहा, उसमें आप मेरा ज़िक्र नहीं कर रहे। ठीक हो गया? तो ये चीज़ें अल्लाह ताला ने सॉरी, इस सूरत में इस तरह के अहकामात नाज़िल किए हैं, वो तमाम अहकामात जिससे एक मुसलमान को जो है बच के रहना चाहिए। ओके? नाउ लेट्स मूव टुवर्ड्स द सूरा। Let's start. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Ara'ayta allazi yukazzibu bid-din. Ara'ayta, don't you see allazi, those yukazzibu who deny bid-din. Bid-din, from the deen, from the deen that we have given. Okay, don't you see the people who deny the deen, the religion, the ahkams that we have sent? Who are those people? فَذَلِكَ الَّذِي, these people are those يَدُعُّ الْيَتِيمِ, who are doing who are what do we say? يَدُعُّ is basically becoming like showing abusive behavior towards al-yatim. We have came to know that yatim is basically the orphan, and orphan are the kids, right? These are those people who are having an aggressive behavior towards the orphans, who are becoming abusive towards the orphans. ولا يحض على طعام المسكين, and not ولا and not يحض, they prefer على طعام المسكين for offering their food to the masakin, like they don't prefer sharing their wealth with the masakin, although Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has blessed them with so much wealth. But what they do is they have very harsh behavior toward the masakin. They don't feel sharing that very thing with the masakin. فَوَيْلٌ لِلْمُصَلِّينَ. First, فَوَيْلٌ, so there is going to be, what do we say? Halaka is basically destruction. There is going to be adab or destruction for those lil musalli, for the salah they are praying, for all the prayers that they do pray. These prayers are going to be a source of destruction for them. Why? الَّذِينَ هُمْ, these are those who عَنْ صَلَاتِهِمْ sahun, who are what do we say, who are, what do we say, the word for ghafla? um like they are so much, um what would be the best term for the ghafla? Like they yeah, they are not paying attention. Thank you so much. They are not paying attention towards their salat. Their namaz, their prayer is going to be, yeah, ignorant. Thank you so much. They are so much ignorant towards their prayers that they are praying that this prayer is going to be a source of destruction for them. Why? Because alladhina hum yuran, because whenever they pray so that this salah is going to be a source of admiration for for them. Why? Because when people see them praying, they will say, oh, he is a very practicing Muslim. Say, so they only do the prayers so that they get a reward, or the words, praising words, admiring words, only to accept those admiring words. They are not praying to get the reward from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Their intentions are unpure. That is why these their prayers are going to be a source of destruction for them. And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَيَمْنَعُونَ الْمَاعُونَ. And what they do is they also do not, they also deny or keep themselves restricted from sharing the small things that people do need in their life. Just like, let's have an example, like you do need a blender, right? You're working in your kitchen and you do need a blender, but your blender is broken, right? But you really need it because you have to make the butter. Okay, the butter cannot be taken out from the milk other than the blender, right? So now you need it, and you go to your neighbor and you ask him, her, that, oh, can I lend you a blender for 5 minutes? I just quickly need it. She do have that blender, but at that very time she doesn't need it, right? She do have it, she kept it in with her, but she doesn't wants to share it with you, just for a cause that it might help you, or for a cause that just because you're going to use it, you might make it faulty, or so many reasons, right? So the people who do this behavior, like the things that are going to be helpful for others at that very point, that when they don't need it, and they refrain from sharing those things. So these are the qualities of the munafiqun that they do. A munafiq, or someone who is not having a pure intention, what he does is he never believes in the deen or in the religion that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given them. And then what he do, he always shows an abusive behavior towards the yatim, towards the orphan. And when someone needy comes to them, he never ever feels comfortable sharing his own wealth with them, although Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has blessed him abundantly. And what happens, that he do pray, but how he prays so ignorantly that he doesn't looks at what he doesn't thinks upon the things that he is saying. Okay, he's just parroting the things that we say in Salah. Like, he just parroting the Surah Al-Fatiha and Tasbihat, but he doesn't say them intentionally. He just say them so that he get the good words, admiring words from the people. So these salahs, these prayers are going to be a source of destruction for them. These prayers are going to be a source of adab for him. And then what he does is he also refrains from himself from sharing the things that can be useful for other people. So in general, this surah deals with all the things a munafiq, a hypocrite, is practicing. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala shows all of these habits to us so that we can refrain our own self from doing these things in our life. Okay, now let's move towards the tafsir a bit more, so that we can see the things that we came to know from the hadith, from the narrations. So the very first ayah is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that, don't you see that don't you see that he is going to be denying towards all the things that have been delivered to him. So what are the things? Now we are going to talk about the things. Okay. فَذَلِكَ الَّذِي يَدُعُّ الْيَتِيمَ, that he is repulsive towards the orphan. He is becoming he is becoming abusive towards the orphan. He doesn't feed him. He doesn't give him the things that he have got from his father. He do keep those things with him, but he never shares those things with the orphan kid. وَلَا يَحُوزُ عَلَى طَعَامِ الْمِسْكِينِ, and he urges not for feeding the al-masakin. And what we came to know from the ayah of the Quran, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Quran, كَلَّا بَلْ لَا تُكْرِمُونَ الْيَتِيمَ وَلَا تُحَاضُونَ عَلَى طَعَامِ الْمِسْكِينِ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala refers to this topic again in the Quran in some other place. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, كَلَّا بَلْ لَا تُكْرِمُونَ الْيَتِيمَ. Nay, but you treat not the orphans with kindness and generosity. وَلَا تُحَاضُونَ عَلَى طَعَامِ الْمِسْكِينِ, and urge not one another on feeding the masakin. What you guys do is you never ever show kindness or generosity towards the yatim, the orphans, and you don't even urge what do we say, you guys don't even what do we say, motivate each other. Yeah, you don't even motivate each other on sharing your wealth with the masakin, with the poor people, the people who don't have the necessities of their life with them, but you do have them. You can share those things with them, but you refrain yourself from doing those things, and you also refrain your friends from sharing those things. Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, فَوَيْلٌ لِلْمُصَلِّينَ الَّذِينَ هُمْ عَنْ صَلَاتِهِمْ سَاهُونَ. Over here, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is specifically referring towards the hypocrite, towards the munafiqeen. We will come to know from the narrations, inshallah, over here. So it says, فَوَيْلٌ لِلْمُصَلِّينَ. So woe unto those performers of salah, those who pray the salah. But how? الَّذِينَ هُمْ عَنْ صَلَاتِهِمْ سَاهُونَ. Those who with their salah are sahun. Sahun are those who are ignorant towards what they are saying. They do say from their tongue, but they do not know what they are saying. And they don't say it with a pure intention. Ibn Abbas and others, it's a narration from Ibn Abbas. He says, this means the hypocrites who pray in public do not pray in private. So from this narration, we came to know that the munafiqeen at that time and the munafiqeen along with us in this dunya right now, the people around us, or might be a few of us right now. Maybe we might be from this people, from this group of people. What they do is, if they pray, they only pray in the public when people are around. They only pray the salah when people are around, and then don't pray it when they are alone, right? If you're like in within a gathering and there is a salah time, people are praying, you will pray with them and you will try to pray the best salah. But when you are alone, you're in your home, it's the time for salah, and you just ignore that time. You don't give your mind a second thought about the prayer call that you just heard. Or if you do so, what you do is, what the hypocrites or the munafiqin do, what they do is, if they do even hear the prayer call, they delay the salah. They don't pray it at the very awal time, or the one that the preferred time. They just delay the salah until and unless the time of the salah is ending. Okay, so lil musallin, to the performers of the salah, those who pray. These ayahs are talking about those who pray the salah, but when do they pray? They only pray in the public so that they can get the admiring words. Or when they are in the private, when they are alone, they don't pray at all. Or if they do pray, they pray just like if the crow is picking his head again and again. So those they are those people who pray and adhere to the prayer, yet they are mindless of it. So many of us are praying the salahs, but again at the same time, what are we praying? What are we saying in our salahs? We are not aware of that, right? So we can be counted in the group of munafiqeen if we are not learning the meanings of the things that we are saying. So the key points that we get from here is that we should learn the meaning of all the things that we are saying in this like in our daily life, just for the dhikrullah, the tasbihat, It may be salah, it may be Quran that you are saying. So we should devote 15 to 20 minutes of at least 15 to 20 minutes of our life, of our daily life, towards understanding the meanings of the things that we practice commonly and daily. Okay. This may either be referring to this act entirely, as Ibn Abbas said, or it may be referring to performing it in its stipulated time, right? The time that is like there are specific time for salah, right? You can pray Maghrib between this and this time. You cannot pray the Maghrib after the time has been ended, right? So what Munafiqeen used to do, let's see afterwards. So this means that the person performs it completely outside of its time. So from the narration, this was said by Masruq in Abu ad-Duha. So he says, all praise is due to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the one who said, An salatihim sahun. They are ignorant about the salahs that they pray. He didn't say those who are absent-minded in their salah. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala didn't say they are absent-minded in their salah. It could also mean the first time of their prayer, which means they always delay it until the end of its time, or they usually do so. It may also refer to not fulfilling its pillars and conditions and in its required manners. So the things that we are, learning in the Salah, understand Salah course, we will be focusing on the things that are the pillars of the namaz, the things that are that should be done, that are obligatory in the Salah. If we ignore the obligatory acts in the Salah, our Salah is not acceptable, right? Or the conditions when we can pray, when we can't pray. If we are not aware of those conditions, again our salah is not going to be accepted. So those who are ignorant towards the pillars of the salah, the conditions of the salah, in the required manner, in which style do you have to pray? If you are arrogant, ignorant towards these three things, your salah is again not going to be accepted. Okay, so it could also be performing it with humility or contemplation of its meaning. Like you just say it, you just do it because it was something, a task that needs to be done. You don't do it intentionally. You don't feel it. You don't focus on it. You just do it just like a common thing that really needs to be done. So the wording of the ayah comprises all of these meanings. All the meanings that we have learned right now, it can be like being arrogant towards the meanings. It can be like being ignorant towards the pillars and the conditions and the required manners, or it can be towards delaying your salah. All these three meanings can be discussed, can be considered from the sahun, from the term sahun. Okay, so then yeah, so whoever has all of these characteristics, then he has completed his share of this ayah, and hypocrites of actions is fulfilled in him. Yeah, so if you do find yourself in any of these things, involved in any of these things, it means do consider yourself from the hypocrite. It means you are practicing the habits of hypocrites. So what we have to do is, the very next moment, we have to refrain from all the things that we do find in our own self. If we are dealing in our salah, we have to keep ourselves very active next time. If we are not learning the meanings of the salah, we do have to book the session with any tutor so that we can understand the meanings. And right now, all of our sessions are free for understand salah, and we have a separate group where recordings are being shared. So if you really want to understand the meanings, kindly join that group. And if you can't find the recordings from the very starting, just leave an inbox. Inshallah, I will try my best to share all the recordings with you from the start, inshallah. Or if you find yourself ignorant towards towards the pillars in the conditions of the salah, like what time we can pray, what time we can't pray, what is the right way to pray, what are the things that should be done in a prayer. If we are ignorant towards any of these things, the very next salah that we are going to perform, we have to focus on these things, so that we are not going to be counted in the munafiqin, in the hypocrites. Okay, this is just as is confirmed in the two narrations. Tilka salat, Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam referred to one of the incident, and he said, Tilka salatul manafiq, Tilka salatul manafiq, Tilka salatul munafiq. Holy Prophet ﷺ said this very sentence 3 times. This is the prayer of a munafiq. a hypocrite. This is the prayer of a munafiq, a hypocrite. What prayer was it? يجلس يرقب الشمس حتى إذا كانت بين قرني الشياطين قام فنقر أربعا لا يذكر الله فيها إلا قليلا. What does a hypocrite do? What he does is basically this is the prayer of a hypocrite. Which prayer? He sits watching the sun until it is between the two horns of the shaitan. Okay, this is basically the narration regarding the Asr prayer, the of Salat al Asr. It should be prayed in the very awwal or the preferred time, right? Why? Because once the sun starts setting, the time for the asr prayer becomes starts ending, right? So what the munafiq do, he sits watching the sun until it is between the two horns of shaitan. He delays his salah until the sun is about to set. Then he stands and he pecks 4 rakahs, and he does not remember Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala except very little. The Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam is referring to the person who delays his namaz, and when the time is just about to end, he quickly rushes towards the prayer mat. He starts praying, and he just pray it very quickly, just like if the crow is, picking on the floor, just like that. And he never ever remembers Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, because he is just, parroting the words. He doesn't knows what he is saying, or he is saying it very fastly that he is not able to understand the words that he's saying from his tongue. So what happens is he never remembers Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala except a very little. He's not remembering Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He's not aware of the things that he is talking to with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. If he does, he does a very little. If he does understand some part of the salah, he does understand very little. It may be Subhana Rabbiyal A'la. He may be familiar with the terms Allahu Akbar or Subhanallah or Astaghfirullah. These terms that are being used in the salah. Okay. So this hadith is describing the end of the time of the Asr prayer, which is the middle prayer, as is confirmed by the hadith. This hadith is basically referred to the Asr prayer, as I told you. This is the time in which it is disliked to pray. We should pray the salah in the very first time, right? Just before, like, the first 30 to 45 minutes, when the time for the Asr prayer starts. We should pray it at that very time. We should not delay it. Okay. The meeting is just going to end. Kindly join again so that we can do all these things in Urdu as well. Okay. Let's continue in the new meeting.